Nobody at your plant ever wrote down exactly what a healthy bearing sounds like. There is no rule book for normal. So, how could a piece of software ever catch one going bad before you do? We said that automation follows rules. Someone writes them and the machine obeys. Machine learning flips that around. Instead of being handed the rules, it is handed examples, lots of them, and it works out the pattern for itself. You do not tell it what normal is. You show it months of the bearing running fine, and it learns the shape of normal. That is the whole idea of machine learning. It learns from data instead of waiting for someone to write the rule. Back to that bearing on the bagging line. Machine learning watches it, the vibration, the temperature, the current it draws day after day while it is running fine, and it builds a picture of healthy. Then one day something shifts, a change too small to catch on a gauge, but it does not fit the pattern the model learned, so it flags it. Days, sometimes weeks, before the bearing would actually fail. Nobody wrote a rule for that. The software learned it. This is why we start here. Machine learning is the engine underneath almost every kind of AI you will meet on your floor. The AI that predicts a failure? Machine learning. The one that writes a report? Also machine learning, a different kind. The assistant you can talk to? Same. They look nothing alike on the surface, but underneath they all learn from data. Get this one idea and the whole family makes sense. The shift is simple. Old way, people write the rules, the machine follows. Machine learning, the machine finds the pattern itself from examples. That is all learning means here. No magic, just mathematics and patterns in data. And everything else sits on top of it. The kind quietly paying manufacturers is not the flashy one everyone is talking about. It is predictive AI. What if you knew which machine was going to fail next week, instead of finding out which one just failed this morning? That is not a wish, it is exactly what this kind of AI does, and it is already earning its keep on factory floors right now. Predictive AI is simple to describe. It looks at your history, all the data you already collect, and it tells you what is coming. It does not create anything. It does not chat. It forecasts and it flags. Which bearing is heading for failure? How much demand is coming next week? Which unit on the line is probably defective? It is the math side of the family, machine learning doing the numbers. And because it works from the data you already have, it is quietly reliable, not flashy. The same idea pays off three ways in one plant. One, that bagging line bearing we met earlier. Machine learning saw a drift and predictive AI turns that into this fails in about 2 weeks. Schedule the fix now. 2. Demand. From years of orders and seasons, it forecasts next week's volume, so you're not guessing. 3. The line. It flags a unit as likely defective before it ships. Forecast, forecast, detect. Same quiet technique, three places it pays. So, why call it the workhorse? Because it just works. It is bounded. It only knows what your data has shown it, so it will not dazzle you and it will not write you a poem. What it does instead is point at what is about to happen, and it is usually right. That is not exciting. It is profitable. The loud type gets the attention, and this quiet one just gets the results. Cut in your downtime and your scrap, no noise required. The workhorse then, predictive AI forecasts and detects from the data you already have. And it is the kind quietly making manufacturers money right now. Remember, it does the math, not the words, which is exactly what makes the next one its opposite. The loud one everyone is actually talking about, the AI that writes and draws and chats. So here is the loud one, up close. Let us be straight about two things: what it is genuinely good for on your floor, and where it can go wrong. Generative AI creates. You give it a plain request and it makes something new, a summary, an email, an image, even code. The chatbot is just its language form. Here is a line worth keeping. Machine learning does the math. Generative AI does the meaning. It takes your messy numbers and turns them into words a person can read. That is the whole trick. It is a machine for language, not for arithmetic. And it is genuinely useful. Hand it the day's raw numbers, and it drafts a clean shift handover in seconds, the kinds that used to eat the end of everyone's shift. Give it a dense procedure, and it explains it in plain words for a new operator. Drafting, summarizing, explaining, real work, real time saved. If that is all you ever used it for, it would earn its keep. But there is a catch, and it matters. Generative AI writes what sounds right, and that is not always what is true. Ask it something it does not actually know, a spec it has never seen, a number it has no access to, and it can hand you a clean, confident, wrong answer with no flag that it is guessing. On something that has to be exactly right, that is dangerous. So the rule is simple: use it to draft and to explain, with a person checking the output. Never let it decide on its own. So the loud newcomer, in plain terms: generative AI creates, it is brilliant with words and careless with truth. Use it to draft and explain with a human in the loop, and it earns its place. Trust it to decide alone, and it will go wrong. That is nearly the whole family. One member left, the chat face you already use every day. Time to put them on one map and match the right type to the right job. The engine underneath, the quiet predictor, the loud creator. So when a real job lands on your desk, which one do you reach for? And the part people skip. What does that choice cost you? Not this week, but over the next 10 years? The whole family fits on one map, sorted by what each type produces. Predictive AI forecasts and detects. Generative AI creates. Conversational AI chats, the friendly front end. It is how you will meet AI most often, a question in and answer out. And because it is usually generative underneath, everything about checking its answers still applies. All three run on machine learning, and beside them, plain rules-based automation, often exactly the right answer. Some frameworks call this traditional AI. It is really the rules-based automation you already have. 4 tools. Your job is to match. Take 4 real needs off the floor. Will the begging line fail this month? A forecast that is predictive. Draft the shift handover from today's numbers, creating text, generative. How do I log a downtime code for a new operator? A quick answer, conversational. And seal every box the exact same way? Plain automation, no AI needed and perfect for it. 4 needs, 4 right tools. And every match came from a single question: what does this job need produced? Then one more, because it is not even on this map. Blending a mix to spec at the lowest cost is a job for linear optimization, a solver doing pure math, with no learning at all, which sharpens the whole point. The real question was never which AI. It is what each job actually needs. Now the balance, because the right tool is not free. Take the specialist, a predictive model built for your line. It runs lean and accurate, and over years it pays for itself. But it costs to build data, expertise, training, and real work to put it into production. Generative is the mirror image. It is quick and cheap to stand up, it is flexible, and it is brilliant for proving an idea fast. But run it at scale, and the bill keeps coming. And here is the trap. Point a big generative model at a narrow job, a forecast, a classification, and it will still work. It will just be slower, hungrier in energy and money, and often less accurate than a small model built for that one job. So match to the job and to the horizon. A proof of concept is not a 10 to 15-year operation. And one catch worth saying out loud: the workhorses, predictive, machine learning, are the hard ones. They need expertise, data, training, and someone to keep them running. They are not flashy and there is nothing to show off. That is exactly why they are not hyped, not because they are worth less. Generative is the opposite, quick, visual, and an easy enabler for a whole range of messy, non-deterministic jobs, answering questions about past issues, summarizing a pile of reports, drafting the first version of anything. That is real value, and it is why everyone starts there. That is the map and the balance. Match the type to the job and the horizon. Generative to prove it fast, the right size specialist to run it for years. And do not mistake low hype for low value. We have now placed the whole family. From here, we zoom in on the one you actually know and use every day, the large language model. Because it is everywhere and because it can be confidently wrong, next we go inside it, how it works and what it can do.